Okay, I'd like to call the August 20th meeting of the City Council for the City of Cannon Falls to order. Could I have roll call, please?
Councilmember Bringold. Here. Duncan.
Here.
Gesme.
Aye.
Lindell.
Here.
Mattson.
Here.
Montgomery is absent, and Mayor Altoff.
Here. Would you rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Bill and a second by Morris to approve the agenda. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, that brings us to public hearing. Resolution 2435, certifying unpaid utility charges to be collected with taxes. I believe we got to do this every 3 months, is that right?
Yep.
Lionel?
Yes, you are correct. We do this quarterly. We hold this public hearing to give the opportunity to those citizens to speak regarding a proposed assessment for unpaid utility bills. So this is their chance to do that, and then we would have passed the resolution for that adoption.
Is there anybody in the audience who would like to talk about their unpaid utility bill? Second call? Nobody? I guess I'd accept a motion to approve Resolution 2435. I'll close the hearing first. And now I'd ask for a motion to approve Resolution 2435.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Bill and a second by Mary Jill to approve Resolution 2435, certifying unpaid utility charges to be collected with taxes. Any discussion?
Yes. What is it? What's the number? I can't.
I looked at it a few days ago. I think it's a 16,000, something like that. I don't remember the number of accounts.
Just a little over 15,000,
Yeah,
$15,021.
$15,021.
Yeah, it's attached to the resolution. The listing is.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. That brings us to the consent agenda. The consent agenda items may be adopted under one motion as presented, or may be removed for discussion and resolution as council business. For you in the audience at home, I'll go through the consent agenda. Item A, just and correct claims for the accounting period ending August 15th, 2019. Item B, the minute meetings for the August 7th, 2019 City Council meeting. Item C, the minute meetings for the August 7th, 2019 City Council work session. Item D, Resolution 2436, to approve a setback variance for Tara and Justin Duden. Item E, support the BCBS grant application. Item F, cable studio upgrades. Item G, hire a PEG access technician. And item H, Resolution 2437, to approve property conveyance. Is there anything the council would like to bring down? Nothing? I take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So move.
Second.
I'll second.
Motion by Morris, a second by Bill to approve the consent agenda. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, council business, so we'll go right to reports. And I think the first one we'll do is Public Works, because I think Tim's in the audience here tonight on that. So Dave?
We brought this item to the council tonight in anticipation of maybe having some more detailed information to share with you tonight and possibly get some direction on how to resolve an artesian well concern that exists in the downtown area that particularly affects the building that Tim Nybo owns. Tim is here, sitting in the back, I believe. This problem started last year, I believe, and it's come to the Public Works Commission for consideration several times, and we've been instructed as staff to kind of continue to work with Tim Nybo and trying to really get a handle on what is the nature of the problem, where does it originate, and most importantly, I think from Mr. Nybo's perspective, is how is it addressed and how is it resolved. We were there again today. The mayor was there. Wes and Ted from the Public Works Department, myself, Tim Nybo, and Bob Ryan of Ryan Mechanical to, again, following dye tests and further investigation in the field to kind of figure out the lay of the land here, is to try to discuss a potential solution for this particular problem. And I think of those of us who were there that attended today, we think we've got an idea on how to at least address part of the concern, which right now is more immediate to Tim Nybo, and that is to get the water out of his building and get him back to normal. And we think we've got a solution that might be reasonable to do that. We have some details to work out, some cost estimates to work through, but we think we've got at least a solution to pursue it at this particular time. And again, I say it's a partial solution because the artesian well doesn't originate in Tim Nybo's building. It's across the street on 4th Street in another building, and we're not able to stop the flow at that location, but we think we can at least divert it out of Tim Nybo's building into a storm sewer and hopefully at least take care of it from his perspective. So don't have a specific proposal tonight with a design and a specific cost. I think we're getting a much better handle now in terms of narrowing the alternatives here. But I think clearly, and I can let John speak to, and maybe Bill too from Public Works, it's one of those unusual circumstances with a history that's not exactly certain. And I think if we can figure this out, we've kind of accepted from at least staff perspective, and I think with some understanding from Public Works Commission, that we, city, probably will be involved in the solution one way or the other. We just don't know those details yet. So I guess stay tuned. It's a good probability that we'll be back in a couple of weeks with something more specific for the council. I don't know, John, or if you or Bill have anything more to add to that?
Well, it's quite a problem. Well, like I said, we were there this morning, and there's a gusher in the basement, and it's coming, of course, from an artesian well across the street, but we got to correct it. I think we've got a temporary, we've talked about, going into that storm sewer in the alley there, but we're going to check on costs and see what's going on. Tim, you want to say anything, as long as you're here?
Yeah, I can. I bought that building about 5 years ago, and I didn't have a drop of water in it until last, April or May. And in the middle of the garage is a drain that had been dry, but suddenly water started coming out of that drain and pouring to the back of the garage and around the whole garage and out the back. And we tried to correct it last year. It didn't resolve itself. The water just kept coming. We didn't know what it was. Started getting some inkling of what it might be. And towards the end of the summer, plugged it. That was fine. We didn't know at the time because the artesian well and all the water tables kind of dried up in the fall. So it was fine until early spring when the whole floor started to lift and water pressure started pushing through, at which time Mike Altoff at the time came over to help, and we popped the hole and got the pressure out, and ever since then, which has been somewhere around May, we've had the water just free-flowing, through the back of the garage, working with the city, and happy that Dave and John and everybody is willing to talk and help, but we're just trying to find a solution to get the water probably from that point out to the storm sewer directly without going into the garage. So it's been a year for us plus months, but we can't really do anything with it other than hope to get the solution done through the sewer system, because otherwise the the solution for a regular person like myself would be to throw a sump pump and a hose out to the back alley and let the water flow, and nobody wants that. So we're just waiting. Did you get my bid, Dave?
I did.
It's not detailed, but it was just an idea of money, and so I'm glad the city is working with me at this point. I'm willing to talk to everybody about trying to find a solution, and whatever that is, I hope we can get it done sometime in the near future, because we joked last time at the meeting, there's a few odd colors starting to grow down in the basement, so. And if anybody had any questions, I'm happy to answer, but. Thank you.
Yep.
So what we'll do, Mayor and Council, is continue to work with Tim and the contractor and see if we can get more details. We have a very, very preliminary number that we received late this afternoon, so we're at least getting into a ballpark, and we've got to figure out the details of the construction, pencil up a little tighter cost on it, and then start to figure out and discuss with Tim what's fair for his responsibility, what, if anything, is fair for our responsibility, and is there anybody else who might want to share or be asked to share in fixing this solution, because it's definitely beyond just Tim Nybel's property.
Right.
Yeah. So hopefully by the next meeting, we'll have some more specifics.
Okay. Anything else on Public Works? Okay. Planning Commission, anything? Derek?
Yeah, we met last Monday. I believe the only thing on our agenda was the Duden property variance. And we talked it over and ended up passing it, and we just passed it earlier.
Okay. EDA?
I can report on that, and also for Planning Commission, Derek. Talking with Sam, it looks like for addressing the private advertising on the bill or on the scoreboard, it looks like the only way to get there, as we talked before, is through an amendment to the sign ordinance. So I've been working with Roger Knudsen on some draft language. Again, with a sign ordinance, a zoning ordinance amendment, there will be a public hearing before the Planning Commission at the meeting in September. That will start. And if they pass a recommendation, then at their meeting in September, it will follow through the process with the City Council. So there will be a meeting in September for the Planning Commission, at least on that item. With regards to Economic Development Authority, a couple things. Just to report on, we received one more quote, one more bid as an EDA to remove asbestos and demolish the former Lee Chevrolet building. We're very encouraged and excited about the bid. It was about $13,000 less than the earlier bid. So the EDA has authorized us to go ahead. And it looks like now the contractor will be working on a specific date. It's a 1 or 2 day demolition project, and we want to work with Kyle and others to make sure that we're not doing a demolition during an event downtown if we can possibly avoid it. So we've got some time, but it looks like now probably second, third week in September would be the preferred week for the contractor. So we'll continue to schedule that. The other item that you passed tonight was requesting Goodhue County to delay the offering of the auction through auction of the former Cannonball, the tax forfeit property. In this instance, there's a couple of different ways to deal with tax forfeit properties. One is to try to sell it off by auction to the private purchasers. The other is that the city can make their own request and try to take on the cleanup investigation of contamination and cleanup of that property and then offer it up for sale. Our concern at the EDA level is whether we allow the private sector to go out and make a bid or we do it ourselves. We're going to be asked to do something because we're anticipating there is going to be site cleanup costs on that property. So the Board of Directors for Economic Initiatives and the Economic Development Authority last week have agreed that they'd like to cooperate and work with each other, and with your approval of the resolution tonight to ask Goodhue County for 6 months time here, the Economic Initiatives and EDA will move forward, prepare requests for proposals to complete the environmental review, the analysis of the site, similar to what we did for the Lee Chevrolet building downtown. Once we know what's in the building, very likely underneath the ground on that site, we'll get an idea of what the cleanup costs are going to be, and at that point, work forward with economic initiatives and the EDA to find a way to hopefully finance the cleanup of that site. We'll keep the council obviously involved every step along the way, but it really looks like a project from the EDA and economic initiatives that's really a high priority and of some urgency to try to get it cleaned up sooner rather than later. And I think both groups felt that this was the most expeditious way to do that. So with the resolution you passed tonight, that'll go to Goodhue County tomorrow. They will approve it. We'll have 6 months to evaluate the site and then put forth a plan for redevelopment and cleanup of that site. So that was one of the other main items on the agenda. And the final thing was, and we talked to the council about this before, that, and for Kyle here too, that the EDA had initiated conversation about having a joint meeting with the EDA members, the board of directors for Cannon Falls Economic Initiatives, the chamber board, and then the Grow Cannon Falls group to talk about what we're all doing individually to promote and market this community, and then talk about other things that we share in common and things that we could do together and do it more efficiently and perhaps better if we know what those things are. So we'll be meeting in September, the 4 groups to talk about that.
Just to go a step further on the Cannonball property, I just feel that property is so valuable to the south end of Cannon Falls. It's right in the middle of everything. That's why I'd like to see something really developed there that's right for the property. That's why the 88 is getting involved, economic initiatives are getting involved. Maybe we can get a deal from the county, and maybe if we have to do the cleanup, but that's a prime site out there, and I like to see it developed in the right way because it'd help everybody in town, so. Okay, let's go around the horn. Tim, anything in ambulance tonight?
This past week, we last week, we had a inspection done by the EMSRB, who regulates all ambulances in the state of Minnesota. And my crew, along with myself, did an excellent job. We prepped for them. They usually come around every couple of years. And this time they were training somebody, so they literally went through every piece of paperwork we had. And they had a few recommendations. I think it's just them trying to train the new person very well. And essentially, we only had to put a strap across some map books, and that was it. And they were pretty much satisfied. So that's all we have to report.
Well, it sounds like you're doing a good job. That's all they can find.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nicole?
Okay. Well, a little about library programming that's going to be happening in September. We are going to be starting a couple of series of programs that are going to meet on a regular basis through the fall. One of them is a NAMI wellness series. You go around, you'll see the flyers that we have up in various businesses. This one is about sleep health. And for September, it's going to be on September 10th, I believe. And we'll have another in October, another in November, and another in December. So NAMI is a mental health organization. And we're also going to be starting a Can We Talk series. So Matthew is going to be a facilitator in discussions, just interesting discussions. We have a dot survey up in the library right now where he's been asking people, like, he has some suggested topics, and then people can come to these particular meetings and talk about this subject. And among them is like, where do you see Cannon Falls in 20 years? So, interesting topics, and they're going to be at the library. There's a set period of time. I believe those are on Tuesdays, and NAMI is on one day, and then Can We Talk is a different day. Tuesdays and Thursdays, it is. I can't remember which ones. In September, it is library card sign-up month, and so I'm trying something new, and I'm going to be doing pop-up library in various spots. So I'm going to be showing up with a computer, and if you don't have a library card and you're interested and you don't tend to get to the library, I can sign you up. And I can tell you about all of the different resources where you can still use the library without actually setting foot in it, because libraries have changed in the past 20 years. And then we have story time starting up again. And then on another note, I just wanted to give you guys all an update about the building. We haven't had any leaking except for that one time in April, and that was Mike had discovered we had one drain that was clogged with leaves that were fall leaves. I think that for all the bad that the tornado did, it actually did good for the library because we had a really good inspection done on our roof, and then all of those voids were fixed, and we haven't had any leaks since then, except for that one particular clogged drain. And so now if we're on top of that, I think we're good.
So,
Good news.
Yeah.
Thank you. Jeff?
Well, last night we had a Cops Cones for a Cause event down at the Cannonbells. As you may or may not know, the food shelf is a cause that we try to raise money for periodically, and we found a very willing partner with Cannonbells. And so they allowed us to do some of the ice cream scooping, and people could leave tips for us and for the food shelf. We had a donation little piggy bank and a food box. Out of that, they could also bring non-perishable items, and we were able to raise 115 pounds of non-perishable items and $428 in cash donations that we have donated to the food shelf.
Wow.
So, in fact, while I was sitting here, an email came in from one of the owners thanking us for putting that on with them. They had a great time, lots of smiles from the kids. I learned that the ice cream in the corners is harder, so you have to work harder to get it scooped out. Just like when we've done dunk tanks and stuff, you know, any of the officers that are doing those types of activities are all doing it on their own time. We're not paying staff to do that. The officers who are outside, showing off the squads, that type of stuff would be just like a First Thursday or Fun Thursday event. And so those are officers that are on duty, and if they had to leave, they'd leave to go handle something. So that's an update on it. Thank you.
Great. Lynell? Did you talk about we moving the November meeting now because of an election?
Yeah, I did, I sent out an email to you and to Dave. The school board is going to be holding a special election on the first Tuesday in November. And by law, we cannot hold a public meeting that evening, so we will have to reschedule sometime before that meeting.
Okay.
You can either cancel it or reschedule it.
We can do that later, go a day later or something like that. Okay. Dave? Steve?
The Cable Commission met, and you probably noticed in your agenda that we passed a couple things. Mike's going to be getting some new lights and updating the studio a little bit. We had a visitor at the meeting, a guy by the name of Joe, Garbarino. That's Swede.
Gabarino.
And he's trying to get some hand-me-downs from some of the studios up in the city. So he struck out on Channel 9, but he's still working on it. So hopefully we can get some cheap stuff from up there. Other than that, just Mike is losing one of his very reliable techs going to college, so he's going to try to find somebody to fill that role. That's all I got.
Okay, Bill?
I have nothing tonight.
Okay, Derek?
nothing from me.
Nothing.
Mary Jo? Morris? Okay. We'll move on. We'll move on to public input. Citizens may speak to issues not on the agenda. Before speaking, please give your name and address for the record and kindly limit your comments to 3 minutes. Public comments must be respectful, pertinent to city business, and adhere to the applicable data privacy rules. The City Council will not take action on any issue raised by the public, but may choose to schedule consideration of the item on a future agenda. Let's open the public input.
Good evening, Cannon Falls, Mayor and council members. This is Kyle Paulson from the Chamber of Commerce in Cannon Falls. We do have an open house coming up on Friday, August 23rd. The ribbon cutting will be happening at 8:30 a.m. at La Boutique Unique. which is next door to the bakery, just north of it. And so she's also going to have sales and specials all weekend long. But if you can come and welcome Ginger to the downtown area, I think that would be wonderful. I want to thank everyone who came to the August Fun Fest. It was a little slow start. You're starting to give me a little few more gray hairs. But as the evening went on, we turned out to have a great crowd. And so that was a very, very good night. Our next Fun Fest, September 12th. We do have a time change on the September Fun Fest. It will start at 4:30 and go to 7:30. And that is simply because of a school night and also getting darker earlier. So 4:30 to 7:30, we do have 35 vendors already, and we have several weeks to go. So it'll be fun. We're going to have a lot of fun at that one. Flavors of the Falls, October 5th and 6th. Be watching. We will be getting coasters out to the different restaurants and bars, those kind of places, as well as our flyer will be out in the next couple of weeks. And I've had a request about a softball game, business people against the Bombers senior team. So if anyone is interested, contact the chamber. I'll collect the list. If we have enough, we'll move forward. Any questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks.
First, I don't understand why she's in public input. I think it'd be polite if you allowed her a little time, and maybe if she had some action or something she needed from the council, it'd be nice for her to be part of the community. Anyway, I'm kind of wondering how ridiculously dumb we're all going to get. And by that, I mean, most of us come to City Hall and our police department to get facts. This last council meeting, when Mary Jill and Bill accused me of running Mike Eltoff off, and John, while you sat there, and you know that's not true, claims that I make City Hall, city premises a hostile work environment. Well, I don't work here. I ain't hardly ever around here. I got a job. And believe me, it's full time. I think I'd wear you out if you just watched me. After the council meeting, Bill Duncan had a little blowout. Said that he'd hoped that I'd get run over by a truck on my way home. Used the F-bomb 4 times that I heard. Ordered the chief of police to tase me. Now, the most upsetting part of all of this certainly isn't Bill Duncan. I can handle him. Believe me, I can. But what are you people doing? You're all sitting here. Nobody said a word. That's the type of behavior we're going to run into at City Hall? It must be totally acceptable. Nobody said a word about it. Nobody mentioned it that night. Nobody mentioned it tonight. Is that how we want to run this place? I do really well in a free-for-all, believe me. Is that what we're going to have here? A free-for-all? Are we going to stick to the facts and behave ourselves? Let me know. I'm interested in finding out. And what about our local newspaper? Why aren't they here? Why aren't they reporting on it? Is everything just fine once the cameras go off? We can say and do whatever we want? I have a friend, very dear friend, asked me, was there any more public? here? And I said, what the hell does that matter? And it kind of dawned on me. For credible witnesses. Do you know what that says about you folks? We're looking for a credible witness. We don't have one here? When I went to see Matt Montgomery a day or two later, Matt said to me, "Babe, what did you say to Bill Duncan?" Am I responsible for Bill's behavior here? What difference does it make what I'd have said? No one in here heard me say anything because I didn't. But we all heard Bill, didn't we? Because I was standing there, and he was standing there when he was swearing across the room. Nobody batted an eye. I watched. It's pretty pathetic, folks. One thing for sure is Mary Jill did mention one fact. The council should have protected Mike better. And you didn't. You failed him. You failed to protect him from Bill Duncan. We know exactly what I'm talking about. He was down there harassing Mike at the workplace. This debacle at John Birch Park. Come on. Mike was fed up with it, and you know that. You all know that, those of you that are paying attention. Mary Jill blamed me for forcing employees out of this city for 30 years. I served on the council for 13 years. Never fired anybody. I was AWOL from this town for 15 years. See, I've been around the last 3 years. And yeah, I've been a little adamant about some problems we're having, and I will continue to do so. The fact is, Cedar Abity, Robbie Robinson, and the city council fired 5 employees last year. 5 of them. Fired them. Well, I guess they could have resigned or get fired. Bill, you were part of that. So were you, John. Morris, you too. And you too, Derek. So why didn't you guys come to my defense when Mary Jill is falsely accusing me of running people out, when it's actually you folks? And that's the fact. And it is not me. And I know you know exactly what I'm talking about, John, and nobody wants to say a word to Bill about what he was doing to Mike Eltoff, but the problem was Bill, and we know it, and he was down there, and he's not supposed to be, and he's not supposed to be ordering the chief of police to tase people at City Hall, correct? Thank you for your time.
This is Tim Deemer, Cannon Falls. I've been approached by a few people recently, and one time was 3, 4, 5 months ago, saying that what I say here, like this last person told me, a business owner said from viewing the council meeting on the city's on the video, it's not clear to them what I'm getting at or what I'm saying. I think one of the council members I talked to said that to me, and I have a hard time myself knowing what I'm saying, but I'll try to make this clear. I had I don't even know how to frame it or how to say it, but an incident or an unpleasant experience with a business here, but it got me to question the the integrity, knowledge, and courage of the police or the city maybe, but like it says, and I've been wanting to maybe share one word each week, and I'm for sure, unless maybe people were praying for me that my car would break down and I wouldn't get here or whatever, but I would sure like we just got done hearing, and it was very it was good that you let him speak his mind without cutting him off or whatever, allowing that 3 minute, which is nothing when it comes to some of the business that has to be taken care of. And I agree with what he said about Kyle and the chamber. That makes perfect sense. And so it's just, I would like to read, just instead of saying a word, like what it means. So I'll just start with knowledge, and it all boils down to their like a motto on the police. This is the chief of police's card, and they all have it the same. All their card, dedicated to always do the right thing. Well, it doesn't seem to just the average, or just a person with enough common sense and whatever. And we know we've heard or said ourselves, there's a lot of nice people in this community, in this world, and it just, I always feel every day I wake up, I apparently am not one of them, and I haven't done anything to anybody. I've asked them directly to their face, what have I done to you? They won't talk to me. I've tried to talk with Mr. O'Gorman, and everybody just shuts me down. I don't get it. So, well, here's integrity. I'll just finish by saying this: the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles, moral uprightness. He is known to be a man of women of integrity. And all these synonyms. I mean, I can go on and on, take more of everybody's precious time, and this. I was given this to. I found a person at the end of their email that emails me that I just recently. I was surprised. I gave these to Officer Berg, and he posted it outside there, which was it was nice to see that. And just may I live this day compassionate of heart, clear in mind, gracious in awareness, courageous in thought, generous in love. John O'Donohue. Thank you for your time.
Anybody else? Public input. Public input. Third and last call, public input. Okay, we'll close the public input part of the meeting. And I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mary Jill?
No second.
Bill? Discussion, I think we'll take a 10-minute break and then we'll get into work sessions. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.